All right, well, Reform UK, we did try to warn you a little while ago. For those who don't remember, Bo got deselected as a candidate because Hope Not Hate did a hit job on him, accusing him of supporting mass remigration of everyone that settled here since 1997, when all he did instead was endorse reform policy, saying that all the illegals must be sent back, after having interviewed pretty much every head of Reform UK except Nigel Farage himself. Well, we did say it wouldn't stop there. Turns out, didn't. Daily Mail have decided to do the bidding of the terrified Conservative Party by doing a dossier of Reform UK's supposed most controversial candidates, the ones that are still left and haven't offended Hope Not Hate yet. Anyway, and I thought we'd go through this list just because it's mildly amusing, but also, if you allow your enemies to dictate who can and can't be within a alternative to the establishment political party, you begin to assimilate the establishment and become the same bland flavour over time. And at this point, I don't know who the hell to vote for in a general election because I don't think Reform represents me either now. So that's no fun.
Hi folks, sorry to interrupt the video, but I just want to direct your attention to the aesthetics range of merch that we have on the store. These are beautiful images that I think work really well as posters or mugs. So if you want to support us, going over to the merch store at shop.lotus.com is easily the best way other than signing up on the website.
So, in this article, Mail on Sunday calls this an investigation. Basically, they just looked at the Twitter accounts and that of the modern journalism, I suppose. Some of the candidates selected to stand at the next general election for Reform UK. They've been revealed as the potential MPs. They include a convicted animal abuser and a fortune teller who sold spells for £200 on OnlyFans.
Can I just pick up on that headline first before we go any further? People who support Tommy Robinson, why not? Nice chap. A COVID conspiracy theorist, which, you know, what even is that now? Given that everything they've said is right, and then an animal abuser, and they just lump the three of them together.
Well, the animal abuser...
Don't forget Hitler.
Well, actually, the animal abuser one is probably the most out of context because he kicked a dog that was trying to attack his kid. So it's a proper smear job. Okay. Yeah, this is a proper smear job article.
Right, okay.
It's unreal.
Man, I don't understand the Daily Mail. They're such a bipolar publication.
They're Boomacon.
Oh, it's just whatever gets clicks.
Yeah, it really must be, because some days they're like promoting Lizzo, other days they're like woke madness has gone too far, and then other days they're like this.
Yeah. So I know people that work in the print department or worked in the print department, and they said they were actively ashamed of the website team.
Yeah,
and surprised. Even in the office, they call that the sidebar of shame because it's borderline softcore pornography.
Well,
it's just random. Well, yeah,
on this occasion.
If you scroll down, there's some influencer with, I mean, look, Kanye West's wife, and there's some more of it, and there's some things promoting plastic surgery, and so yeah, it's just it's pathetic clickbait. But in this particular instance, they're clearly doing the job of the terrified Tory party who are about to lose all their seats because they go and reach the Tory party for comment. So there you go. So here's this fellow. This is the fellow in question about the dog. Now, this is Gary Sutherland, who's the candidate for Exmouth and Exeter East. Sutherland was found guilty in June last year of causing unnecessary suffering to a dog by kicking it in a Dorset country lane, and was banned from owning a dog for 2 years and told to pay £1,964 in compensation. This was shortly before he started running.
Wow, this guy really hates dogs for some reason.
Yeah, it turns out, so Richard later clarifies on Twitter and a Reform spokesperson that he was doing it to save his kid because the dog was set on his kid.
So why did he get fined for this?
But also, why is this worthy of note in a... Like, this is not a particular political
Hero
agreement.
Reform candidate saves his son from vicious dog is an alternative way of framing this. But why was he punished for it?
No details included. There we go.
But then he got, even after all of that, he then got booted out of Reform.
No, he's still in.
Oh, he's still in?
He's still in.
Okay.
Oh, They've only deselected one of these candidates so far.
Right, so kicking a dog, fined by Richard Tice.
Yeah.
Endorsing Reform policy, not fined by Richard Tice.
Quite. We're going to see a pattern here. Yeah. Here's the next one, right? This is Amelia Randall.
Yeah.
Obviously trustworthy individual.
Okay.
So she's running for Herne Bay and Sandwich, and she sold spells for £200 on Facebook in 2019 and offered mystic psychic readings for $14.99 on a now deleted OnlyFans page. Now, of note, she wasn't posting pornographic material on OnlyFans.
Okay, so, I mean, yeah, because with this, bad luck for those people on OnlyFans who aren't doing things that are pornographic, because everyone thinks you are.
Yeah, there are other websites, so it might have been a wiser business decision to set up shop elsewhere. But
is that the going rate for a spell? £200?
I wouldn't know. I'm from the group of people that burn witches at the stake in history. I'm probably not the best person to ask for market.
I mean, I would sell spells for £200 a pop.
I mean, all I'm saying is guaranteed efficacy. Back.
So Crystal ladies, okay.
But okay, so how is this like? Okay, don't get me wrong. She's an eccentric.
Yes.
Right? That's a nice way of putting it. She's an eccentric, but obviously her heart's in the right place. She's not obviously an evil person. She's not hurting anyone.
She's a bit woo-woo weird, that's it.
Yeah. But she's, there are women out there who want woo-woo weird to make themselves feel better. That's fine.
Yeah.
This is just something that, women do. Go to tarot readers and stuff like that. I had a friend a while ago who I was working at a different place, and she was like, "Oh, I went to a fortune teller and she read my palm and she told me about it." And I was like, "You don't really think she can see the future, do you?"
That's how Rory pulls girls at Bristol. He's told me that before.
I don't doubt, but she actually got quite offended. And I was like, "You don't really think?" She was like,
I actually quite like tarot.
I'm not saying you can't like it.
I'll cover it with you another time, but it's interesting.
I'm just saying the gypsy woman who was hanging around in Slough didn't know the future. That's all I'm staking my reputation.
I think part of it is, we discussed this in our Simone de Beauvoir conversation before, is where when the internal processes of a body is quite mysterious to women, things happen unexpectedly. The whole world seems comprised of like a continuous process. Yeah. So therefore, spiritual phenomena are interesting to them, whereas men can just dismiss it out of hand of, it doesn't jibe with my connective,
totally
linear experience.
But it's not like bad.
No.
It's like, oh my God, we're going to get a hit piece because this candidate does woo-woo. It's like,
the next one was one that got her in trouble. This is Yvette Maxwell Darkes for Swindon North. And she said that Tommy Robinson has very good things to say and that I actually quite like him. He stands up and says things that most people think. Now, apparently, I have heard that on other instances, she is a sort of bit of a normie boomicon.
Sure.
That's not to slate her. But this was her gravest sin. She has been thrown out.
Oh.
She's been quietly deselected.
Right.
Actually.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you go to her page, there.
Right. Okay.
Yes, up. So Swindon has now no representation.
Interesting. I'll apply. I could. If I was going to stand anywhere, it'd have to be in Swindon North. I know it fairly well, so
Well, I would just invite Richard Tice to come down and maybe see Swindon sometime, because if Bow is a representative of what people think is Swindon South, and this one's a representative of what people think is Swindon North, then things are pretty bad in Swindon for mass immigration. So if you spent time here, you might understand why people feel this way. In the sort of outer band of Swindon North, it's the kind of asylees from Swindon Centre. Like, there are lots of people there who are just like, well, things are changing. But anyway, I like Swindon North.
I just think it's funny that it's starting to look like the D-Day landings on Omaha Beach had a higher survivability than being a reform candidate.
Well, you're speaking as a casualty yourself, of course.
Yeah, I got booted as well.
Yeah, all you did say is Raikou should not have rolled out Don't Look Back in Anger as a bunch of kids were blown up at a pop concert. And despite Richard Tice saying he wants to dismantle the Home Office, he goes, well, you can't say that. We need a centrally managed
I'm not pro-bombing kids, so therefore...
Yeah, quite. You wouldn't get a place in the Obama administration. So someone else, this is maybe slightly more off the wall, but she didn't get booted out for it.
J.K. Rowling's been deselected.
well, Jackie Harris. So she was a candidate for Kenilworth and Southam in Warwickshire, right? This is this particular woman, and she used to be a Tory councillor, and then she was kicked out of the Tory party. She was suspended and then found not guilty in 2019 for Twitter posts where she said that the anti-Semitism row within the Labour Party was an Israeli conspiracy. She said it was spot on, that the whole anti-Semitism thing is a false flag, probably masterminded by Mossad and the CIA.
No comment.
Yeah, no comment.
Well, yeah, I don't think Claudia Webb is a Mossad agent, because I don't think she's that smart.
Yeah,
let's put it that way. I really do. I don't think Diane Abbott is a Mossad agent.
I do happen to think their barrier to entry is a bit higher than Diane Abbott.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit too thick to be a CIA asset. The reason she didn't get deselected is because she's Jewish. So said that, was founded not guilty because she's Jewish. But that's okay for reform.
It's not what you say, it's not what you think, it's what you are that is the ultimate arbiter.
Yes, because reform is a member of the far right, don't you know? Right, good. Okay, then there's a fellow named Richard Brown, right? So Richard said that he, and this may have to be bleeped for YouTube, so sorry, editors. Richard shared the false claim, this is according to Daily Mail, that doctors refused to treat Boris Johnson on the basis that he didn't actually have COVID. So, a bit more possible than some of the other COVID stuff that ended up being proven right. But yet again, that's fine. But Reform Party policy, not fine.
And I like his shirt as well.
It does look like a sweet shop bag. I
used to have a shirt like that, but blue.
I maintain my criticism. Yeah. He also called your best mate Jess Phillips a bitch in 2022.
Oh, I like this guy already.
Yeah.
I'd have voted for him.
Then there's Mark Hoth. He's representing Sutton Coldfield for reform, and he said that there was no pandemic. North Durham's Andrew Husband shared multiple posts suggesting that the COVID vaccine was the greatest crime against humanity. Hello, YouTube. You didn't hear that one. Edward
I think we're
Oakenfold.
definitely going to have to bleep a bunch of this.
Yeah, we're just going to beat random lines. He's running for Derbyshire Dales and has branded the asylum seekers disabled scroungers who should go back to wherever they came from.
They're not disabled.
Yeah,
they're just really skinny and sort of sickly looking.
Well, I don't know. I think they're just grifters.
Yeah.
It's chancers. They're not disabled. They're scum. We should get rid of them.
Again, this is reform policy. It's Conservative policy to keep paying these people, and yet the Daily Mail does an
Everything
article.
on your list so far is everything you would hear between any normal bunch of people down the pub.
This is exactly the point. If you're going to get a representative sample of the British public, you're going to get quote-unquote far-right conspiracy theorists. But none of these opinions are palatable within the Westminster bubble, the dinner party circuit, which is why they're being highlighted by the Tory party. And then also when they're highlighted by Hope Not Hate, Reform takes action for some blooming reason.
Yeah.
One fellow, Oakenfold said something a bit contentious, but he hasn't been deselected as far as I know. He said, importing loads of sub-Saharan Africans plus Muslims that interbreed create gene pool decline. Bit worse than what Bo said.
Ed Dutton subscriber.
Yeah, quite. Yeah.
Speaking of which, there is a Brokenomics of Ed Dutton up on the site at the moment, which is very good. So check that out.
It's very amusing, yes. But point being, but Bo didn't say that, and yet Bo was slung out with Richard confirming that he had okayed it himself. So
Bo was like, I like Reform's manifesto. And Richard's like, no, you don't. Okay, sorry. I apologise.
Yeah, speaking of some of the other candidates that he's already kicked out, they list them in here. So these are the Hope Not Hate hit pissers.
Yeah.
This is Ginny Heathcote Ball, and she was kicked out for the Rutland and Stamford seat after she said that Femi Olawale, the anti-Brexit.
Oh, I know who Femi is.
Yeah, I can't stand him. He should be deported. No comment. British radio presenter Niall Arthanayaki, who is of Sri Lankan heritage, should emigrate to his black-only country.
Yeah, but wasn't he the prat who said that he despises being around white people?
Yeah, so the framing of this article is really disingenuous.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the Daily Mail.
Yep. She also called Angela Rayner a slut.
Didn't she? Didn't Angela Rayner talk about like opening her legs to distract Boris Johnson?
Yes. This was Ginger Growlergate, yeah.
Yeah.
From the sight or the smell? Because doesn't she sit...
I don't know.
Because doesn't she sit behind the bench thing?
No.
No, if he's standing at the dispatch box, you can see directly.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And
so it could be either then.
And so, like, it's not like, there's an unwarranted criticism.
Yeah. Also, this is really dodgy by the Daily Mail. I think this is actually like bordering on defamatory framing. In 2022, she used the hashtag acid attacked after calling for a purge of the scum in the Labour Party. She's referring to Claudia Webb.
Yeah,
that's really
that's dishonest.
Horrendous, Daily Mail, actually. Like bottom of the barrel journalism there. But
didn't Claudia Webb ring someone up and say, I'm going to acid attack you if you go near my husband?
Yes. Yeah. So
who does that even occur to? I've never said to somebody, I'm going to acid attack you.
Because you don't have 40 IQ.
Again, Claudia Webb, probably not the average Moss addict.
Not that a one in the front, anyway.
No. She also described herself as a far-right hooligan and proud of it. The fact that Daily Mail have included this in there means that they know that this is not a declaration that you're part of the 1930s German party. Like, come on, really? Even Richard Tice has said, I'm far-right by this standard. There was also a Yorkshireman called Roger Hoe, who was ditched for Beverley and Holderness after he praised Tommy Robinson and shared links to what they call COVID misinformation.
Right.
Yeah. And then, of course, they mentioned Bo. There was also a guy in February who was deselected for Henley and Tame over, quote, inappropriate social media posts. Now, I don't know if anyone saw Richard Tice's GB News bit on this.
No.
One of the posts was the guy brushing the pride flag down the drain when it hits July. And then he compared LGBT activists to Adolf Hitler, which obviously nobody has done post-war, comparing the political opponents to Hitler whatsoever. Nobody's done Godwin's law. Basically, all of this here, there are inconsistent standards being applied to who can join reform and who can't. I think this is totally arbitrary, and it means there is a stifling environment where if you're going to pick actual representative people for the British public, you don't know what you can and can't say, and so you would end up with a bunch of Westminster lovies by the time that the cull has been conducted.
I just want to make it clear that all of these people would be more than welcome to join my political party if I were to start one.
Might be quite fun. So the reason that this article exists is this. This is Jonathan Gullis,
yes,
who's just been appointed the deputy party chairman. I've spoken to Gullis before. Off air, he says very different things.
I bet he does.
Very different. And actually, Richard Tice picked up on that funnily enough. So Gullis was quoted in this article, and Tice tweeted out, I think this was yesterday, with a special Easter message to Tory MP Jonathan Gullis: given the multiple bits of embarrassing personal information we have on you, I suggest you pipe down on your attacks against me. I wouldn't be surprised if someone gets the Electoral Commission to look into this for total bogus reasons, but I can support the fact that Gullis says one thing and then immediately does another.
It seems like a strange way of opening up like exposing yourself here to Tice. Like, who cares what Jonathan Gullis says?
Yes.
Does his own wife care? Like, no one...
Tice takes things personally.
Yeah, I can tell.
That's the track record
why would you expose yourself like this and overreach a bit over Jonathan Gullis?
Yeah.
Like, he's a nobody.
Who I'd never heard of.
Yeah, exactly. He's such a nobody you've never even heard of.
Gullis is a member of the new cons, but he's probably the most wet and useless one because he also mealy-mouthedly defends the government, also criticising them. He's the one that went on Talk TV a little while ago and said that we're going to kick all the asylum seekers out of the rapey migrants out of the hotels. And then they said, okay, where are you going to put them? And he just said, we're going to kick them out of the hotels. And they went, okay, but where are they going to go?
Country of origin.
We're going to ignore that bit. We're just going to kick them out of the hotels. So they're just going to be roaming in your town, milling about, as per usual.
They can kick you out your house instead, won't they?
Well, thanks to... Well, his seat's going to go soon.
I mean, these people are just responding to incentives, and the incentives is that the Tory party have established, and now Reform have established, is that you must not have any opinions if you're going to be a political candidate.
Yeah, quite. You can't actually substantively represent your own constituents. You've just got to talk the line that keeps you respected in the party circle.
Essentially, you have to be forbidden from social media.
Yeah, your job is to have no opinions, turn up and vote when they tell you to.
Or post leftism on social media, I suppose,
Yeah.
Quite. So what Gullis said in this article, he said, Reform says its candidates have been vetted, and given that all of this information was in the public domain, we can only assume that this cast of characters passed Mr. Tice's muster. We're clearly not just talking about a few rotten eggs here. If you're promoting candidates banned from looking after dogs, how can you honestly say they're capable of looking after the interests of their constituents? Never mind all the sex scandals in the Tory party.
And the thing is, okay, Jonathan, yeah, your party, all your candidates are vetted. Yeah, how are you doing in the polls?
That's 9 points ahead of Reform.
What's that, less than 100 seats? Oh, wow, that sounds terrible.
0 seats.
Yeah.
So Tice responded to this and defended some of his candidates. He notes about Jackie being Jewish and being cleared of anti-Semitism. What's wrong with earning money legally as a fortune teller, or is it not good enough for the Westminster snobs?
Shockingly, he's found the one thing he won't tolerate. You leave my woo-woo woman alone.
Yeah. The only person he didn't defend in here was, of course, the woman he quietly deselected. The woman who had probably the most right-wing opinions there.
Yeah, she seemed pretty good.
Yeah. And again, she didn't come out and full-throatedly say, I'd like Tommy Robinson to lead Reform UK. She just said, oh yeah, he says some sensible things sometimes. The most tepid possible defense.
You would think even Tommy Robinson's worst critics could concede that.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey guys, I think these grooming gangs are a bit of a problem.
Yeah, I think he's made some imprudent decisions before.
Yeah,
and I think associating with Andrew Tate is probably not the best thing for brand reputability, but clearly opposing a grooming gang should just not be a far-right position. Like, yeah, I don't want young white girls to get raped. Shock.
Well, just any girls.
Yeah.
Just any of them. Because, I mean, the Sikhs have been victimized by it as well. Like, there's just no... Like, I don't even need to be particular about this. I just think the grooming gangs themselves are bad. I mean,
yeah, sure. I'm against rape. Apparently a far-right position that only Tommy Robinson can endorse. There you go. All right, then.
Rape in all cases, not just in some cases. Okay.
Yeah, quite.
I'm far right.
So the interesting thing is, though, if they start weeding out all of the far right people and they start gaining ground, Reform UK, because the Tory party is so wet, then we're not going to be particularly represented. And I say this because this is just how they're making Reform look strong by default, because the Tory party then come out and whine to the Telegraph saying that Richard Tice is a threatening bully. And this is the Tory party chairman. So their two chairmen are now crying about Richard Tice.
How feminized are we as a society when any man attacks another man as being a bully? You didn't have like Alexander or Caesar saying that, these people are bullying me.
Pompey was like, Caesar's bullying me.
Yes, he's just... How long-housed are we as a culture, but that is even a thing?
I just want to let the Telegraph know, look, I'm not going to vote for Richard Tice. It doesn't matter how strongly you advertise him to me. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not doing it.
This is the effect of institutional schooling, where any time that you have a conflict with someone, you're meant to run and tell the teacher and whine. And actually, if you retaliate or stand up for yourself, you're just as bad as the perpetrator. This is exactly that mindset. It's pathetic. No testicles. But Holden wrote on Twitter, what a threatening bully Richard Tice is exposing himself to be. Silly man.
He's not nearly that impressive.
No, clearly not that strong if he thinks that someone's tepid defense of Tommy Robinson is worthy of being kicked out of the party. But they're a bit late, though, Richard, because the most forthright thing Richard has done was this the other day. Did you read out Douglas Murray's article about Hope Not Hate? I agree.
What?
Why do you let them select your candidates then?
In fact, can we scroll down on this slightly? Because I think I'm probably the top.
So Richard Tice is anti-Hope Not Hate, even though that they have a complete veto over any of his candidates.
So why do you allow them to bully you into deselecting good reform candidates?
Yep.
Fair question, I think.
That's going to be pretty much all the responses. Yep. All the friends of the show are just piling in.
Yeah.
But look, I can say this. So I've got normie family members who occasionally watch my stuff by virtue of knowing me, but they're not really politically plugged in. And as soon as I said, they allowed a communist research group to say who should and shouldn't be in the party, well, my dad was just like, all right, well, I can't vote for them then, can I?
Yeah.
But this isn't just online internet people with anime avatars that are going after you, Richard. This is normal people who are going, well, I thought you were slightly different. I thought, especially with backing Lee Anderson, you don't mind a little bit of coarse language or pub talk. The kind of people that are not necessarily as refined for Westminster taste, but do actually care about their local area. And then you throw them under the bus.
I mean, Lee Anderson did say that London was controlled by Sadiq Khan, who's controlled by jihadists, or Islamists. So, I mean, how's that substantively different to anything Tommy Robinson has said?
Yeah, quite. And Lee Anderson didn't at the time even provide receipts. I mean, I did retroactively, but
I'm not saying
it was a big risk.
Yeah, I'm saying.
All I'm saying is right.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, this is a position you've already stood on, Richard. So why back down?
Yes.
I'm just still annoyed by the Weasley-ness of this because he's obviously, there was a big backlash when Bo went. And a lot of people were saying, why are you letting Hope Not Hate lead you around by the nose? So they went into a planning meeting and they said, okay, how can we show that we're not being led around on a little gimp lead by Hope Not Hate? And they eventually decided to put this tweet out. I
mean, don't get me wrong. I totally agree with Douglas Murray's take on it.
Yep.
And if Richard Tice totally agrees with Douglas Murray's take on it, why don't you just block them and tell them to F themselves?
I will go out on a limb here and I will say, I actually spoke to Richard after Bo was slung out, and Richard has not unfollowed me. He didn't give any coarse words to me, just as he has not given any coarse words to Douglas Murray for coming out against Hope Not Hate, and I think it's probably because he sees us as politically useful. He sees Bo as disposable, some of these candidates as disposable, but if someone else has a comparable enough platform to himself, then he doesn't want to burn bridges with them.
Well,
and so
therefore,
twice as many
followers as he's got.
You don't go on GB News.
That's fair.
That's it. That's genuinely, that's it. It's sort of Access Media, Westminster Circle stuff. And so it's really disappointing. And I want to finish this with, on the day that Bo was deselected, I did tweet this out just saying, look, don't let your enemies set the tone of who should be included. And it won't stop here because if you give them one body, they will keep coming back to eat more. They will keep going till they cannibalize the whole party. And now you've got the Daily Mail doing the Tory party's bidding, putting pressure on you because you're nipping at their heels in the polls. And again, they did literally hire a communist as the head of research. So I don't think it was particularly wise to cave to communists in the first place. And now you're sort of reaping the whirlwind, having sowed the seeds of your own destruction there. So pretty disappointed that I don't have any substantive representation at the next election. Guess we'll see who Reform ends up putting up at the next one.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium contents on the site, such as the Epoch series, this episode on the art of Michelangelo. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.